Hi, I'm Lou Raisin, and I'm president of Broadway in Chicago and immediate past chair of the Chicago Loop Alliance. I created Broadway in Chicago in 2000, and taking Chicago from what was a sporadic two-week touring Broadway town to what's now considered the third most important city in the world for theater, behind New York and London. As chair of the Loop Alliance, a business improvement district that sits a couple blocks from Chicago's Millennium Park and the Art Institute, my mission was linkage. How do we and what do we do to induce people, the millions of people that would make their way to Millennium Park and the Art Institute of Chicago? What could we do to invite them just a couple of blocks west to experience the Chicago's Loop? At our peak, the Chicago Loop Alliance had up to 14 galleries in vacant storefronts. I wouldn't say our area was blighted, but we had vacant storefronts that didn't cast the right light on the area. Activating those storefronts served as a reward to encourage the journey, but it wasn't meant to be the beacon that would beckon the masses. For that, we created a major annual art project guided by a curatorial committee. We invited and funded artists to use our area as their canvas. I'm a firm believer that placemaking can be transformational. And since my tenure as chair of the Loop Alliance, I've been heavily focused on tourism. I live in the world of arts and culture, and when you couple tourism with arts and culture, you have something that not only enhances the quality of life for residents, but becomes a major economic engine. A number of years ago, I worked on acquiring a shuttered theatrical venue in the city and thought it would be a great location for a land-based operation of Cirque du Soleil. To that end, I took a team from Chicago to Quebec and met with the chairman of Cirque. Made an offer, and the offer was declined. The chairman of Cirque went on to say, from the time he wakes up until the time he goes to sleep, he focuses on one thing. And that one thing is protecting his brand. He said that he needs to be in New York before he's in Chicago. He needs to be in London before he's in Chicago. He went on to list a number of cities throughout the world and throughout the United States, ultimately saying Chicago's just not a world-class city. Those have been fighting words for me ever since. My challenge and question is, how does Chicago use placemaking to elevate its awareness as a world-class city? We've done a number of things in these major art projects and these use of pop-up galleries, but they turn out to be flashes in the pan to some degree. How do we use placemaking to allow the vision and this resonance to communicate on a long-term basis? And how does it sustain?
My name's Mindy Turbov, and I am the director of the Choice Neighborhoods program at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And the challenge for Choice Neighborhoods as it relates to arts and culture is the same challenge that we see for many distressed neighborhoods across the country. Our program is focused on local solutions for the reinvestment in neighborhoods that have publicly assisted and public distressed housing and public housing. And our focus is no longer just the housing, but using housing as a catalyst for revitalization of the larger neighborhood and helping the families remain in the community. So some of the outcomes we hope to reach through Choice Neighborhoods are locally based solutions for rebuilding housing markets, rebuilding strong families, rebuilding strong neighborhoods, creating mechanisms for employment, and working with youth in particular, and education, and trying through working with youth and education to solve some of the problems around high crime.
Hi, I'm Kim Wallish. I'm the Economic Development Director and Chief Strategist for the City of San Jose. I really love living and working in San Jose because it's a place that's grown and changed a lot. It's become the largest city in the San Francisco Bay Area and the anchor city of the Silicon Valley region. But going back to the 1980s, the city of San Jose began investing heavily to revitalize its downtown and to try to turn it into a true city center for the Silicon Valley region, which traditionally has been a suburban, sprawling area. The city has invested over $1 billion over the last several decades in public spaces, in streetscapes, in convention center, an arena, and incentivizing private development of hotels and high-rise housing. And in the process, the people here have become accustomed to looking to city government for vision, for leadership, and for resources and investment and programming. That's all needs to change now because our public resources are very, very stretched. Last year, Governor Jerry Brown eliminated tax increment financing for cities in California, which was a tool we had all relied on very heavily. And our city general fund revenues have plummeted. We've had to reduce our staffing at City Hall by 30%. So the key challenge we're facing now is how do we transition our model and how do we ensure that the very significant investments that the public sector has made in public spaces in San Jose are now matched by ongoing activation of those spaces by individuals, by employers, by cultural organizations, by others. We have some great spaces and some great episodic activation in terms of events and activities and socializing in those spaces, but we all want it to be more continuous and have that kind of street level vitality that people are looking for in downtown these days. So how do we get others to step up? How do we get them to bring unique resources to the table? How do we figure out the kinds of new partnerships that we need to continue to create great places downtown that are even more active on an ongoing basis? And what is the role for city government going forward in this new model? So we're excited about our future, but we've got some real challenges, and we look forward to any advice you can offer us. Thank you.
My name is Joel Ratner.
I am Sherry Dozier.
I'm President and CEO of Neighborhood Progress.
I am Director of Human Development.
Neighborhood Progress is an amazing organization that has had a role for its 23 years in improving Cleveland neighborhoods through community development corporations, but also working directly in the neighborhoods through its lending arm and its development arms.
We have traditionally focused, has been in housing development around placemaking. We are now expanding our focus to asset building and other human development integration.
We're very excited about the St. Luke's project. It's one of the biggest development projects we've ever taken on. In addition to 140 units of low-income senior housing, we'll also include a high-quality charter school, which will use senior mentors to work with the kids. We know this charter school has gotten great results with urban kids, so putting all of this together is really very exciting for the neighborhood, which is a neighborhood that's really been challenged by severe amount of disinvestment. So the corridors, which historically had mom and pop kinds of shops and bakeries and restaurants, don't easily lend themselves to a 21st century economy.
The West 25th Street corridor is important to Cleveland because it is actually one of the most underutilized commercial corridors in the city of Cleveland, and that it is bookended by not only Metro Health, but they think of the assets along the corridor and their impact to the greater Cleveland. There are pockets that are very strong, but then you have a considerable amount of dead space because it's so long, being 5 miles, that we've done, it's been more of a cookie cutter approach, but we can no longer afford to do that.
We certainly know that the main corridors are a particular challenge, so we're looking for creative ideas on how we reuse them in a way that it contributes to a neighborhood renaissance.
Hello, creative placemakers. I'm MD Isley, Executive Director of Bravo Greater Des Moines' Regional Arts Council. The Greater Des Moines area has experienced a cultural renaissance that's helping to drive its economic renewal. The community has come together to invest in arts in a meaningful way. Collaboration is possible because business, community, and government are recognizing economic value of the arts. Des Moines has become culturally rich with world-class programming from the Des Moines Arts Center and our Civic Center bringing Broadway-caliber performances to central Iowa. Significant private support in the form of community gifts, for example $35 million for the Papa John's Sculpture Park and $70 million applied to the principal financial group Riverwalk, are helping to revitalize what was a decaying urban core and helping to attract new business and create a community from the remains of what would have been considered a blighted industrial center. This vibrant community now puts Des Moines on par with cities like Chicago, Minneapolis, Kansas City, and others across the Midwest. The unique lens provided by the Iowa caucuses every 4 years presents an opportunity, a unique opportunity, to showcase Des Moines as a vibrant arts and cultural center on par with places like Portland, Oregon, and/or Austin, Texas. Our challenge is how to introduce Des Moines as an arts and cultural destination to the nation and to the world. Given your experience with creative placemaking, what strategies would you implement to help us capitalize on this unique spotlight opportunity we have during the Iowa caucuses every 4 years? We already have cultural assets and community support. We don't necessarily need to go from A to B. We're asking how we go from B to C to showcase and introduce Des Moines to the nation and to the world. Thank you so much for your consideration.